dhe kisha dashur me ditë se cila është përqindja e frankofonësve në nivelin botror.
It's about 200 million people, French speakers, native and non-native. When you say French speakers, means people who speak French day to day, which is very important. There are areas in which French language is still very present. There are areas in which it is not that present, which is normal. French is present on all the continents. It's present on a lot of things like internet, for example. It's present on a lot of things like TV programs and radio programs. But if you look at it, surprisingly enough, it's not that present in papers, newspapers. There are very few French newspapers all over the world, and in France as well. The number of circulating newspapers is pretty limited. So 200 million means that apart from the countries where people speak French as their mother tongue, we have maybe, all in all, 8% of the world speaking French, which is not that bad. Good side is that it's okay. A lot of people are speaking French. Wherever you go, you have people speaking French in the world. Plus, if you speak French, you can understand about Italian, you can understand about Spanish, you can understand about a lot of other languages. So you feel comfortable wherever you go. You have a way to manage just that way. The bad side, or the dark side, of my language is that for quite a long time, and maybe even now, it's a sort of elite language. It used to be, and still is in a way, the language of diplomacy, of aristocracy, of elite. So it cuts a bit the French from a lot of people who think that, okay, I'm not being part of the beautiful people of the world, so French is not for me. And they think it's not for them. They think that it's a sort of a hyper-sophisticated kind of language, which it is not. But it has this image of, it's only about culture, it's only about philosophy or literature. It is, thanks God. We also have people who still write books. But it's not only about that. It's also about day-to-day life. It's also about day-to-day sharing with people. And for example, I would like to add something more. I lived in the UK for 3 years and a half. I lived in London. And one place in the world where people speak French is London. You go to London, you hear French, and sometimes better French than in Paris, for example. Because in London, of course, we have one foreign language. It's France, because it's the country just in front of the sea. So we speak French quite a lot, and a lot of French people do live in the UK. And it's very surprising for French people how much French is used in England in general, not as a real foreign language, but as a sort of half foreign, half homegrown kind of brand of language. And it's very important because this is not a beauty contest between the different languages. You have Chinese, Mandarin, you have English, which is worldwide and very big and used everywhere in the world, I think now. You have Spanish, which is an incredibly powerful language all over the world too, and many, many other languages. And this is not a beauty contest between languages. You can have 3, 4, 5, or you can have just a couple, just to manage. And important thing is to use the foreign languages as a tool for yourself, to take some distance from your mother tongue, your mother country, your mother, and father as well, and to use it to take some distance from yourself.
I vitit të parë në Kolegjin Evropian Dukagjini dhe mua më intereson shumë se si I shikoni ju metodat e zbutjes së papunësisë në Kosovë, pasi që kjo është edhe problemi kryesor I cili I preokupon studentët kosovarë.
It's about economics and jobs, and about how to give a future to the people like you and other young guys. This is the most political issue in Kosovo. And I think it has to be transformed. The country has to be transformed into a more free market, transparent, functioning economy than it is now. And it is also, when we are talking about Kosovo, there is also something else to be added. This is only the start of a very young country. My guess is that a lot of people thought that when Kosovo would be independent, things would be different. There was a dream of independence, a dream of autonomy, a dream of sovereignty, which is quite normal and respectable, and which I share. But maybe, just maybe, there was a mistake about independence bringing as well economic development. It doesn't work like that. Independence brings independence, which is something in its own respect, something that is valuable, something that you have to protect as citizens of this country. Economic development is a different business. It's about transforming the habits, transforming the way things have been done in the old ages, and it's a totally different process from politics, let's say. And I think that the time you are living now, and I am living as an ambassador, as a guest to your country, is exactly this time. Transferring the energies, the dynamics, from the politics to the economics, which is much needed. And my guess, it's very humble, I'm very modest about that, okay? But my guess is that the top priority of Kosovo is about economics now, right now. I've been trying to do that, to have French companies interested in Kosovo, to come to Kosovo, to invest in Kosovo, to do business-to-business relation. We had the first trip a few weeks ago, and the French businessmen that came to visit Kosovo, I brought them to Peja, especially to Peja, because I wanted them to meet the business community here, which is very, how to put it, alive, very, very much alive. And they came to Peja, to Jakova, and of course to Pristina as well, and they met a few counterparts or potential counterparts. And this is only a start. The image of Kosovo in many countries, including mine, is not yet what it should be. War is over. Kosovo is Kosovo. There is no longer a question, in my view, and in many, all those who know Kosovo, about sovereignty, about independence. It's over. The question has been decided. It's what it is. But in the mind of a lot of people, Kosovo is still a war-ridden country. It's still under a big security threat. So they have this picture of a country in ruins with, armored cars driving all over the place, military men. Say, hey, guys, just come to Kosovo, have a drink at some terrace in a cafe, just have your coffee, enjoy, look at the people walking, it's peaceful, it's okay. I think this question of image is important. Every single visitor I had coming from my country has been amazed by the fact that it is very civilian, that it looks like, let's say, a place in southern France or Italy or Spain. Because in their minds, Kosovo was still a country that just after the war was trying to make its way through the difficulties of post-war Kosovo. We are trying to transform this. We created a Franco-Kosovo Chamber of Commerce. We have had the first visit of a few French businessmen here to try to engage with businessmen, once again, especially in Peja. Next month, we will have the away game in France. We will send a few ministers and a few businessmen, hopefully business women as well, to France so that they can talk about their country. They can talk about the economic potential. They can talk about, okay, invest, give me the money, come, let's work together, and you will have a profit out of it. Not about love, not about, oh, please help poor Kosovo. No, not like that. You can make a profit in Kosovo. So about visa and unions and students, we have a few programs of sending students to France. These things have to be ask to the French embassy in due time, but we are happy if we can send students to France. And if we can do that, of course, the visa is the thing of the embassy. The embassy takes care of that. Now, for the visa question in general, it will not be that easy. It will not be that easy. Same as with joining the EU in general. There are things that are called regulations. You cannot ask for regulations not to be regulations. It's complicated. It's about homework. It's about the government of Kosovo to do its own job and to transform a lot of policies before every step is checked and allowed. Second thing about the election in the north, I'm not, or sub-election in Kosovo, I'm not sure the terms are the right one. I am organizing elections in Kosovo in a couple of weeks, in 10 days. I, for one. French election in Kosovo in 12 days. Of course, it has nothing to do with Kosovo. It has to do with people who have a French citizenship, maybe dual citizenship or only French, and they will vote for the French presidential election. They will vote at the embassy, within the premises of the embassy. It has nothing to do with Kosovo. It's French elections. Now, if some people who are living in Kosovo and who have a Serb nationality, Serb passport, are able to vote, all the best. It has nothing to do with the sovereignty of Kosovo, and it has nothing to do with threatening the sovereignty. The two things are separated. If you have a Serb nationality, you have to be given the possibility to vote for the Serb election. Now, this is not Serb election in Kosovo. This is Serb people voting for Serb elections. You may live in Kosovo, but you don't have to threaten the sovereignty and the existence of Kosovo. And I think that between these two complicated, very complicated issues, a way has to be found. The reasonable thing to do is to give an international partner the possibility to organize elections for the sub-nationals who want to vote for the sub-elections. And that has nothing to do, in my view, with Kosovo. And certainly nothing to do, to be absolutely clear, with the fact that Kosovo is an independent, sovereign country. Absolutely not. I might have forgotten something, maybe. What is the image of Kosovo in my country? Image of I cannot answer for everybody, but the fact of Kosovo as a country that has been incredibly cruelly hit by an unfair war on its people, by the beginning of an ethnic cleansing, is still here, it's still present. It's a good and a bad thing. It's a good thing because it has been the fact of life. And it has brought to Kosovo the friendship of millions of people. And thanks God, it has helped people in my country and elsewhere to help the people of Kosovo got rid of the threat. It's a bad thing because in many respects, it is still here. And I would like to leave you with this last message, if I may. This is no longer the case. You are no longer under threat. So don't behave as if you were under threat. Your life is your life. You own your life. You have no enemies. You have only supporters and neighbors. Yes, but neighbors are neighbors, and only that. You might have good neighbors, bad neighbors, noisy neighbors sometimes, but it's neighboring. It's no longer warlike time. And as you are mostly young people, I will tell you that now it's high time to get on with your lives. It's high time to look forward to what is in waiting for you. It's high time to go back to your books, and to your computers, and to your studies. And it's high time to work for the whole of the European continent, because you will have to pay for my pension soon, and the pension of the people right here. Okay? Thank you.
Last question.